In 1587, Ming Dynasty, China. Emperor Wanli has been on the throne for 14 years. He hardly ever goes to court, rarely summons his ministers. This book tells us what happened and atmosphere at that time. As the English title of this book, A Year of No Significance. In this meaningless year, the crisis of the dynasty and his hardships is spreading. Read China. Better understand China. 1587, A Year of No Significance. Episode 1. Fragile Finance. China has almost 3,000 years of history of imperial dynasties. Every time, when you sigh for the change of dynasty, in fact, it can be regarded as an economic crash. The author of the book gives us a very interesting point that came to light first. In past, we often criticize a dynasty for being overtaxed, and that leads to poor people and weak countries. In fact, the Ming Dynasty did not tax high. The highest tax rate for a single province is about 20%, while others are mostly below 10%. The population of the United Kingdom during the same period was only a 20th of that of the Ming Dynasty. But total amount odd taxes are basically the same. So what's the problem? Obviously, tax rates are not the main issue. The bottom line is that the management is inefficient. Ming, a great central dynasty, once the most powerful in the world, the most mature centralized empire. Why does his finance look so bad? Different from the nobles of the Sui, Tang, and Song dynasties. The founders of Ming Dynasty are the farmers who rebelled. The new dynasty established by the peasants is so much like a utopian society, manifested in economic policy, is extremely pro-agricultural and con-business oriented. Prioritizing agriculture is a damn tradition of the central dynasty under Confucianism. Yes, Confucians control the gov and they believe farmers are the best to be ruled. In other words, no business and industrial progress will not create a new class of wealth so they can be ruler forever. But in fact, these policies does not eliminate the crisis of rule, because it depresses the economy tremendously. And the tax from farming is decreasing because of illegal transactions, bad weather, and awful management. Official tax management in the Ming Dynasty counted on unchanging and rigid terms since the first emperor. Military feeding themselves, farmers paying same amount of rice for tax and no technical way to restore and distribute the rice. Officials simplified complex and dynamic fiscal issues into simple addition and subtraction. As time goes by, farmers lose their land to the wealth who don't need to pay tax. Yes, they have the privilege since a long time ago. In the event of unrest, the central court is helpless to fund any action. Economic inefficiency, plus rigid and weak management. How can such a fiscal not be fragile? Overly simplistic, rudimentary tax policy was once misunderstood as most people-friendly and benevolent governance. In fact, low tax rates do not benefit ordinary people, but encourage the big and small landlords, nobles, to exploit the poor and the farmers wantonly. Faced with such a situation, Emperor Wanli chose not to go to court. Seemingly, he was engaging in a cold war with ministers. But in his deep heart, he knows he can do nothing to make change.